I was born on the 17th day of January, 1846. I go back as far as way along in the early 50s. My first recollection of public living, and especially political living, as I may call it, was when I learned as a boy of 9 or 10 that my home was in the state of Virginia.
Conservatives adore the idea of assimilation like they do heterosexual sex, from a distance as an abstract concept. When things between tribes aren't going well, the cuck pipes up to assert that all that's needed is more encouragement to immigrants to assimilate to the American or Western way of life. The cuck imagines assimilation as some magical process or cosmic intervention that appears after the requisite number of incantations are scattered throughout op-eds and on TV talk shows. Now, shitlibs are getting in on the assimilation racket. They used to be against it, arguing that America isn't a melting pot, but recent trends have them worried that the salad bowl is turning into a toxic stew. So, they're finally backtracking to good old assimilation to save their white dispossession project. We will hear increasingly frantic calls for assimilation as diversity spreads like a black goo over the nation, while it snuffs out the last strands of societal trust and bonhomie. Current events are throwing into stark relief the reality that assimilationism is a failed ideology, and its failures will become more apparent as there is a rise in the number of disparate peoples the ideology must accommodate and manage to meld into a workable social contract. A tribe's essence may sleep, but it will never die. As waves of new immigrants gain numerical power and ruling class protection in their host nations, the tribal instinct within their second and third generation cousins already in the country is released from its artificial suppression. The few secular liberal minority tokens that equalist leftoids in the peak of supreme naivety assume that are representative of all the minority tribe's people will recede to nothingness as their half-hearted voices are drowned out by the ululations of their extended family. To put it more bluntly, that smiling taxi driver praising America the day before will revert with a quickness to the mores and standards of his race as soon as there are enough of his kind in close proximity to safely let his assimilationist mask slip off. Assimilationism doesn't take long to reach diminishing returns, and even to expose the absorbing culture to deleterious regression to the behavioral norms of the immigrants. The more of these, the more different, the less likely assimilation will work, and the more likely assimilationist rhetoric will have to ramp up to conceal its ineffectiveness. Post-1965 immigration is almost entirely non-white. The numbers of them are now astronomical, and the host nations have lost faith in themselves while they bend over backwards to assist immigrants in retaining and celebrating the cultures of the homelands they abandoned for Western prosperity. Once the majority of Europeans observe and understand this, a great change will manifest itself. The bottom line here is self-evident. Western states will simply not be able to silence or imprison hundreds of thousands of European nationalists compelled to agitate for their cultural and racial survival. Only so many white het males can be trucked off to internment camps, and a set of continental civil wars is now all but assured by the end of this century. So, what are you going to bring to the table when your time comes?